Hey, good evening and welcome to the April 7th Standing Committee of Council meeting. It being 6:30, I'll call the meeting to order. A couple amendments to the agenda this evening. Under 7E, we're going to add Councillor Gagne for an excused absence. And I believe under 9A, the in-camera, we are no longer required to go in camera, so we can strike that from the agenda. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Lacusta, seconded by Councillor Wall. All in favor? Okay, motion's carried. Any declarations of interest this evening? Seeing none. Announcements, awards, ceremonies, and presentations. Anything from council? Councillor Lacusta, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Rotary for putting on the Art and Wine Festival. That was Saturday evening. It was well attended, and I think everybody had a really good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, nothing from council. Anything from administration? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Duford.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would just like to thank the Recreation Department for bringing our Ron Gonzalez to the wrestling workshop. It was very well attended and lots of great feedback, and the kids had a great time.
So thank you, Councillor Duford. Anything from administration?
I did note, I think this past weekend up in Yellowknife, there was a volleyball tournament there. That's Storm Athletics, I believe. I think at least the under 15s finished gold in one of the divisions. And I know the weekend prior to that, I think maybe the under 15 hockey team were down in Alberta somewhere by Grand Prairie, maybe. Grand Prairie, yeah, I think they also took home a tournament win there. Coached by our own Director of Recreation and Community Services, and I think our Supervisor in Recreation as well. Probably even just a shout out just in general for minor hockey this year and everything that they seem to be achieving. They're going down a good path, it seems, with all the kids and all the coaches and volunteers involved.
So thank you, SAO Smith. Moving on to number 5 for information purposes, Council Liaison monthly updates. If you have anything, we'll just start at the end of the table with Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a couple things. We had our Healthy Communities Committee meeting here, I don't know, was it a week or 2 weeks ago? It was very well attended. We will be having another meeting of the Healthy Communities Committee hopefully by the end of this month. The Regional Wellness Council had a meeting while the Dr. Parker was in town, and they attended. Both members of the Regional Wellness Council and members of the Healthy Communities Committee attended that training seminar over at the hospital. The CEO for HRHSSA was going to present this evening, but I say it's not on the agenda, so we'll make arrangements to have her sometime in the next meeting, whether it be the standing committee or a regular meeting of council, to do a presentation. And that's an update from me.
Thanks, Councillor Willows. Councillor Squirrel, do you have anything?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I don't have a whole lot in regards to the relations right now with the First Nations group. I do know West Point First Nation does have a new acting chief. KFN, I haven't been able to chat with them for a while, and same with the Métis. But yeah, hopefully next month I will have more to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and just a note, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, we did have a meeting scheduled with West Point, but unfortunately was canceled. So just from my end on the chamber, again, we were just still waiting for a member of the chamber executive to get back to town, but I believe he's back today or tomorrow, so hopefully be able to sit down with him very soon. And Councillor Lacusta, do you have anything?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was supposed to meet with the Library Committee, but they postponed their meetings. I wasn't able to meet with them. The Hay River Museum Society is continuing forward on its pathway toward re-stabilizing the Heritage Center. This year's going to be a busy year for them, and an AGM has been set for May. Well, I guess that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lacusta. Councillor Wall?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Not much for me either, except that I will be attending the Beautification Committee meeting April 29th. And Heather, the Rotarians, I missed their last meeting because I was ill, but I will be giving an update at their next meeting. And they just pulled off the wine festival, so that was a good thing. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. Councillor Bouchard, do you have anything?
Just that we're continuing to have weekly meetings on the local EMO in preparation for breakup, and just taking all the steps that we need to be prepared. And right now everything looks about average snowfall wise and stuff. We're supposed to get some updates here I think this week, but yeah, doing weekly meetings with that group. Our economic development group isn't fully together yet. I think nominations just closed and stuff, so and I was traveling last week, so I'm not sure the update on that, but yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bouchard. Councillor Duford? Thank you, Councillor Duford. And then 5B was the RCMP monthly mayor's report. I'm sure everyone had a chance to look through it. Was there any questions or comments from that? Okay, then we will move on to administrative inquiries. Go ahead, SAO Smith.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, Council. I've got myself and the Director of Infrastructure and Planning Services here today. For the other directors, I'm just going to give a quick update. I'll pause between each one to see if there's any questions. So with corporate services, so both the Director and the Human Resource Manager are away this week and last week, so I've been providing coverage for them. Note that the Board of Revision meeting is this Thursday, and that's where that board hears and makes decisions on complaints made against their 2024 property tax assessments. So I know MACA assessors are in town right now. They'll be reviewing some of those complaints, and they'll provide evidence at the hearings. And I thought just a thanks to the Board of Revision members in advance who are supporting that process. I'm the SAO is the secretary for the board, and yeah, we'll go through that process on Thursday morning. On the recruitment side, I just thought I'd make you aware of there's several vacancies right now. So that includes a water treatment plant operator, been vacant for quite some time. We're now kind of looking at maybe turning that into a training opportunity. We're vacant with a public works senior facility maintainer, a rec facility maintainer, our finance supervisor, and a term revenue clerk. Although I'm hoping for at least one of those positions. We have someone hired this week. And that's in addition to summer students. Pretty quiet on the summer student front so far, so they are an important role for us in the summer for seasonal work. But yeah, if you're talking to any students, send them our way. Also still working on some job descriptions that were part of the organizational plan that or design that was approved by Council as part of the budget process this past year. Those are related to the infrastructure and planning service positions. So we're just working on job descriptions, and hopefully we'll get those advertised in the early summer. Any questions around corporate services?
Anything from Councillor Wall?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just wondering, students, how old for jobs for the summer? Because I know a few students, so just wondering what age limit you're looking for. Thank you.
Go ahead, SAO.
Yeah, usually high school students, especially. I mean, we try to get university or post-secondary because they, can work a little earlier come May. But yeah, usually high school. I think technically, over 15 is our policy. But depends on the position type.
Anything further from council? Councillor Squirrel, go ahead.
Masi Cho, Deputy Mayor. My question is in regards to the funding for the summer students. I understand last year that there was a lack of funding for this. I think maybe because it's through the territorial government, I believe, right, where we secure funding? Or maybe you can just elaborate on the funding aspect.
Yeah, go ahead, SAO.
Yeah, it's over the last 2 years. So last year there was a change coming out of the GNWT's budget for a program that ECE administers, Education, Culture, and Employment. So they have a small communities grant program that we've used successfully for the last several years, at least prior to that, for funding a portion of summer student wages. So that program got cut, at least not the, well, I shouldn't say the program, it got cut for tax-based communities. So they're now only offering it to smaller communities, I guess. The other fund that we rely heavily on is, or have relied heavily on, is federal funding through the Canada Summer Jobs Program. And yeah, they were pretty big in funding coming out of COVID. And then it's kind of dried out. So the last couple of years we haven't been able to access. I don't think any organizations in Hay River have been able to. We did reach out to, well, a few people at the Canada level, but including our MP at the time. And we did get a response back. I want to say that the most recent response was that they were taking a similar position. It's been cut quite a bit throughout Canada, but I thought they said they were limiting to small communities as well. However, I'm not sure if maybe they're confused with some of the funding that was going to the territorial government, such as ECE. So there's been other programs. There's a Green Jobs program. Actually today I got an email. We have applied for that. It's only for one position. Sometimes if they don't get filled, the funder will open it up. We've used that in the past, especially with trail maintenance. But that's about it. In our budget for 2025, we did not include, I don't think we included any third-party funding for summer students, but the positions are still on the books. So any money that we get helps with the O&M budget. But it's been disappointing the last few years where both the territorial and federal programs have been, because it's been I think we employ about 17 positions as of in recent years, and we've made cuts this year through your budget. But yeah, it's like I said, valued, a big part of our maintenance program for the summer, and of course the opportunity to hire students where they're available. It's been critical.
Thank you, SAO. Anything further? Okay, you can continue then, SAO Smith.
Thank you. So for protective services, the director usually starts with an introduction of how many calls they've had in the month, but you'll see in our month-end reports to council that information's in there. But almost record high levels for March. I think over 63 calls, so over 2 calls per day. The director is meeting this week with NWT Association of Communities consultant to discuss funding for support of a Vail Island Oxbow area fire mitigation project that we've had on in our plans. So we're hopeful that we can use that money for that project. However, a little late getting there. Once you get into May 1st through to end of August, it's been extremely difficult to do work in the summer with migratory birds. So I think that needs a lot of discussion at the GNWT's level. We've seen it impacting even doing mowing in ditches, aggregate places, such like that. But when you have issues, what's the bigger risk here? Is it wildfires or is it the potential for bird impacts? So I think that topic maybe will come up. There's meetings on April 23rd that NWTAC is also hosting or coordinating. It's for a 2025 wildfire preparedness workshop. It's a 3-day workshop. It's got all the community governments and Indigenous governments are invited. I think all the membership of the NWTAC. There's quite a few topics, but a few of them are just on jurisdictional mandates, who does what for wildfires and structural protection, building fire resiliency, and just general discussion on opportunities. So our director will be attending that. We're also working on, or they're working on some of our river monitoring cameras. We seem to be having some issues with them this year. We've had issues with the stations in prior years, but it seems to be a new issue with cameras that we're trying to work through. And hopefully we can get those repaired for our monitoring season. And a point on bylaw enforcement. So we are working on our prioritization schedule for enforcement, and that's going to be brought to council for input and direction at the end of this month. And it's just a really important document that we use to guide our prioritization of bylaw enforcement, because there's a lot of offenses out there, and really just the one position to manage it. Any questions on protective services?
Anything from council? Seeing nothing, continue SAO Smith.
Thank you. For recreation and community services, so the ice removal has been completed here without issues. And now we're moving into some of the shoulder season programming that I think that department's done a great job of over the last few years, introducing various multi-sport programming on the arena ice surface and on the curling ice surface. So keep an eye on our recreation Facebook page to get more information on those programs and clinics that are going to be offered. As Councillor Willows mentioned, the Healthy Community Committee has been meeting, had a public meeting recently where the 2025-2026 working document that's coming out of the Healthy Community Strategy was presented. We're going to get that posted. I think we committed to having it up last week, but we're not there yet. But we'll have that plan on the website and social media, and also a brochure that's going out in the mail. We have some of our committee and Town of Hay River representatives have been reaching out to local First Nation groups for coordination of National Indigenous Peoples Day and National Truth and Reconciliation Day activities, the latter being in September. This is pretty typical each year where our tourism director, tourism coordinator reaches out to Indigenous groups and tries to create some coordination on that activity or on that day. Also, I'll note that the Fisherman's Wharf, we did send out a deadline for proposals for a seasonal operator, and that ended on March 31st. We didn't receive any submissions, so now we're going out, just reaching out to potential partners to see if we can find someone that would be interested. It's a good, I think it's a good revenue activity. Certainly it's a appreciated activity by residents and tourists. So help with spreading the word, if you don't mind, to organizations that you're tied to. Any questions on recreation or community services?
Anything from council? Councillor Squirrel, go ahead.
Masitro, Deputy Mayor. So I don't think it was in this package, but the last package, I believe it was marked down Indigenous Peoples Day was in May. But I just want to be clear, it's on June 21st. Masi.
Thanks, Councillor Squirrel. I don't know if SAO Smith, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, sorry. We'll have to look for that error. Thanks for pointing it out. And do recognize longest day of the year for that celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Nothing. Continue SAO Smith.
Okay, thanks. We'll go to the Director of Infrastructure and Planning Services for his update.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. I'll start with the zoning bylaw review, which is underway. We're at the part of the process where we reach out to, or a consultant reaches out for consultation with stakeholders. There's information on the website in the planning section with the document, the proposed document for discussion, as well as the schedule, and also some updates on Facebook. So, but a few of the notable times. Obviously, meeting with council at noon on Wednesday, followed by some site visits by the consultant. So some of the things just to see, specifically the areas that we're looking at. Same day, Wednesday, is an opportunity for the public to provide input via an online meeting at 5:30 to 6:30. Again, the details are on the website and Facebook. And then, of course, a community meeting. I believe it's at the community hall at 7 p.m. So in person, that'll obviously have some more information. So that's a good chance for everybody to see what's going on and provide input, which is really important for the process. Following day, the consultants will be speaking with the seniors groups and with developers. So it should get a pretty broad cross-section of input for the zoning bylaw update. As you can imagine, we're actively working on public works. I say we, them, are actively working on moving snow and getting things prepared to try to deal with steaming out culverts and proper drainage. So that'll be an ongoing thing over the next little while here. Looks like the weather's going to hang in there, knock on wood. So they'll be quite focused on that. Still supporting the CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund grant applications. Phase 1 wraps up on April 25th. That's the portion that is focused on more the multi-unit, sort of 2 and more. And so we should have some results at that time. Did meet with the GNWT group. That's myself and the SAO that's in charge of the construction of the long-term care facility to review the costing for providing the services, water, sewer, road for the facility. More work ahead, I would say, refining costs and engineering. And perhaps the SAO will have some more further thoughts on that in his report. And then lastly, we spent a fair amount of time getting a solid handle on the project list, including taking over some of the rec ones, which includes scoping and validating some deliverables and budgets, and looking at broadening our capacity. So working our way through that. It's a pretty healthy list, but we're getting there for sure. That's it for me.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councilor Willows, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just on the Housing Accelerator Fund applications, how many applications have we received? And I guess as we're coming closer into construction season, when do we hope to be making decisions on those applications? Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Councilor Willows, go ahead. SAO.
Yeah, go ahead, Director. I'll add anything that might be needed.
I'm sure there will be. Yeah, my role is in the process is to validate the applications from the perspective of, they meet the number of units and all the information's available, and then the SAO will follow up on the actual judging process on April 25th is the cutoff, so very soon after that. We've had a lot of interest. It's kind of one of those processes where lots of questions. We do have an active one for a larger sort of ask. There's a number, probably, I'd say half a dozen that are kind of looking, but some are looking past, of the 6 that are looking past for the single additional units. So there's I think probably another 1 or 2 for sure that are in the process of applying for duplexes. So that's kind of the mix right now. But as it gets closer, obviously everybody firms up whether they're in or out, sort of thing. I think that's.
Yeah, it's just to note that first call is for the multifamily unit, both new construction and retrofit to new housing. And yeah, I mean, there's been I think conversations that would equate to probably about 150 units. I'd say that we have only the one application that's about 30 or 25 units. Yep. So we'll see after that. Then we go into our second call for residential multifamily, like duplex type. No, sorry. Accessory dwelling units. So
yeah.
So that's where we're seeing some of the interest, or more of the interest in.
There's been a lot of people ask about that, and are waiting. So yeah, agreed.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, seeing nothing, go ahead, SAO Smith.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll start just noting that the general rate application hearings are underway with the Public Utility Board. That's being held in Yellowknife and then virtually this week. So technical hearings are for both the NTPC's GRA as well as NACA's. And then the results of those hearings will dictate approved electrical rates for Hay River and other communities. That's the one we're keeping a close eye on, and interesting to see how that plays out, as it suggests while the interim rates that have been approved so far for NTPC and distribution in town are quite a bit lower than they were. This will kind of set the path for the next couple of years, at least through their application. So we are intervening in that. Our lawyer and regulatory experts are doing a good job for us through that process. I think if you want, you can view it online if you're got nothing to do during the day. The curbside cart program, so that's our big timing project right now. We'll be deploying our curbside carts to residential properties starting this weekend. You can see in front of you, I just put a copy of our poster that's going up on the internet and into hopefully our billing stuffers this week, as well as a brochure that outlines the details of the program, as well as the levy. So just for your note, or for anyone listening, Friday, April 11th, that will be this Friday, we'll deploy the carts to the West Channel and Old Town, so all of Vail Island. And then on Saturday, April 12th, that'll be the main town north of downtown. That includes 553. And then on Sunday, the last area, which is south of the main town or downtown, through mile 5. So if there's any residents that are away, or especially for extended period, or don't have a neighbor that could bring the cart in, because they will be deployed on the curb, they might want to make arrangements with friends or family, but they can also contact Hay River Disposals, and they'll to make arrangements for delivery. Yeah, I think more information as usual is up on the on website, and Facebook will probably do a little bit of ad on the radio this week as well. As Councillor Bouchard mentioned, the local emergency management organizations have been meeting. We had our first kickoff meeting last week to prepare for wildfire and breakup season. We had some discussions on the community emergency plan, and provided an overview of Town of Hay River's activities and our partners' activities for prevention projects that are planned this year. Looked a little bit at the risk forecast for both wildfire and the water conditions based on information that's received. Things change very quickly this time of year, so we'll be keeping an eye on that information. But yeah, as mentioned, it's fairly lower risk in both cases. Still at the tail end of a drought conditions, but we have a very big fire break, and yeah, water level snowpacks for getting a little closer to average for this year's precipitation, but still need to build up the basins and such. But yeah, low water levels on the lake and river. Our committee will be meeting weekly now through May, so we've always got a lot of preparedness activities primarily tied to flooding, but as introduced last year, more on fire smarting and other risk mitigations for wildfire season. There's a flood and wildfire preparedness brochure that we've sent out the last couple of years. It's didn't need any updates this year, we didn't feel, so it's going out to the public through the mailboxes on hopefully this Friday through Canada Post. And I'll note that a public meeting is being scheduled for April 29th at the Community Centre, again for just preparedness type activities. So Councillor Wall, you mentioned you had a meeting on the 29th in case there might be a conflict there. Yeah, the director of IPS mentioned that we met with long-term care center folks from the Department of Infrastructure. They came down here last Friday, so we had some good meetings with that. A little bit of separation, well, fairly big separation perhaps on the contribution agreement, the financial side to that. But I would say there's both sides are in agreement on a couple options that we want to flush out, and still working progressively through that process. Might want to come to council at some point on that one in camera to discuss the options. If you may have seen in the news, and it was released in confidence on Friday, I did send an email to you today, and we were going to discuss it in camera, as the Deputy Mayor mentioned, but now it's public. But CN Rail, so yeah, the Canadian Transportation Agency has accepted the GNWT's application for adjudication on their complaint surrounding the, I guess, CN Rail's failure to maintain the rail between Enterprise and Hay River, which is an obligation, they say, for a common carrier. I think the GNWT, as I understand it, they've notified all NWT communities, local governments and Indigenous governments of the process. And that adjudication process allows for any party that has an interest to submit a position statement. The town of Hay River has commented and issued a statement before that I believe was used in the GNWT's complaint. But I'd say if that does not suffice, our administration's recommendation is that we do submit a position of statement and perhaps reach out to other impacted governments and industries just to create awareness of the process and let them know of their opportunity to submit a statement. I think we should also reach out to the Association of Communities and the Canadian Rail Advocacy Alliance. Both of those we are members of, so we have that opportunity to speak directly on what's happening and our suggestions there. So yeah, I think, you know, it's been in the news. Obviously, I think this council understands that loss of the line to Hay River puts a fair amount of financial, logistical, and environmental stress on what is really an essential transportation network, and especially with providing fuel up the river system to communities. So not good timing, especially when governments and industry are desperate for stability right now. I did meet with, kind of on an economic development front, last week with MTS's new director, Terry Capsule. Many of you will know him. He's now in the big seat here for operations over the last few months. But yeah, just had a kind of informal conversation on some of their short-term operating plans and how the town might be able to support them. It's looking like another tough operating season. GNWT's had a lot of contingency plans for getting their product up to communities. But yeah, they're keeping an eye on waters and hopefully get up through them. I did request that MTS and infrastructure do meet with council to discuss some of the longer term opportunities, and invited them to participate in our community economic development plan, which you're kicking that off here this summer. So a vital industry that we want to make sure is at the table. While I was down there, I also took the opportunity through another meeting to meet with the Western Arctic Marine Training Center's business manager, who's Carrie Davenport, who some of you may know from Hay River previously. She gave me a tour of the facility and some backgrounds on their program. Pretty impressive facility and equipment that they have, and some of the programs that are still planned to be introduced. So I understand they had 12 students in their current cohort. Most of those seem to be from outside of the Northwest Territories. Most of them are female. And anyways, it sounds like they think there's an opportunity to expand on that product that they're delivering. So just, again, another party to consider in economic development planning that's coming up. There was a meeting last week with the Bylaw and Policy Committee. We discussed the public behavior bylaw, changes to the water sewer bylaw account setup, and 2 proposed strategies related to dealing with vacant land and unoccupied housing in the community. So all those reports are included in today's package for your discussion. The committees of council, so we did have a call for public at large members for the Housing Committee, the Recreation Committee, and the Economic Development Committee. Those are all closed. There's still some vacancies, so administration will work with council liaisons to fill those gaps and bring a recommendation to council for appointments by the end of this month. And finally, I'll just note with the federal election, of course, things are ramping up very quickly as we start to hear mandates and all the politicking. But the town has been approached by both the NDP and Liberal parties for meetings to discuss just Hay River issues and issues to our government. So we did have a meeting with the Liberal candidate last week, and there is one tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. in council chambers if you wish to attend with the NDP candidate. I'll be there to provide some thoughts coming from your planning documents as well. And that's it, unless there's any questions.
That's it. Anything from council? Seeing nothing, can move on to new business 7A. Looking for a motion for the Infrastructure and Planning Services monthly report. Councilor Acosta, go ahead.
I recommend that the council of the town of Hay River accepts the Infrastructure and Planning Services monthly report for March 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Acosta.
Yeah, I do have some questions about the report, just for clarity. The first page of the report talks about a industrial area expansion, a preliminary a design for that. And I was just curious as to the, Deputy Mayor, I was just curious as to if our town is shrinking, why we're looking to expand our industrial area. So just kind of a question there. And the same question for the lift station number 3 replacement. If we aren't going to be moving on Aspen Heights because the town's shrinking, then should we be modifying the lift station 3 replacement project?
Thank you. I can turn that over to SAO Smith, but I will comment on the lift station 3 replacement. I believe that has more to tie into the inadequacies of our current infrastructure that we need updates to, but SAO Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. We'll start with the industrial lots. So currently the town has no industrial lots in inventory. We have received, I think, 2 requests for lots that adjoin behind Dean Drive. So that's where the expansion is, if you think towards the old racetrack back behind Dean Drive there. So it's been surveyed in the past and by past councils. So what we're doing right now is just looking at a feasibility type study to outline the options so to help you make a decision there. Yeah, putting in a road costs money, of course, which is what's needed, and other utilities. So I think we'll just be flushing that out so that council can make a better decision on it. But yeah, currently nothing in inventory. For the lift station 3, yeah, that project's based on a few different needs. One of them was tied to if there's any future Aspen Heights residential development there, they would require a lift station. Prior to that, I shouldn't say prior to that, but also in consideration of that area, there's a lot of underground and road work in our asset management plan and partially in your capital plan. I say partially because only a portion of it's currently funded towards replacing infrastructure there. So there's some issues, long-standing issues with some of the elevations that we received there, and tying it into the existing lift station does add some costs and challenges towards getting the depths that we need, including going through some property issues that where there's some encroachment issues with residents. The third kind of variable in considering it is the just the age of the infrastructure itself. So it's not end of life, but it is kind of getting towards where we would have to put money into it. So combined, but moving forward with the primary reason of trying to move forward with the underground work is for 553. It's why it's being recommended. I will say that, yeah, we're seeing that our probable costs might be over our budget numbers, so we'll see this one coming back for a decision at that time. And yeah, council might consider that the cost isn't worth it. But we'll bring a little more information back, I think, at that time, again, with the costs associated or the impacts and risks associated with not doing it tied to the 553 infrastructure.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Anything else from council? Go ahead, Councillor Lacosta.
I think this is the time. There was also some tables that were presented in the package. Is this where I would ask about these tables?
Project list, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So there is 3 pages of rather detailed tables with very small print. Just saying, because I'm older. And the first question has to do with the under infrastructure and planning services. The project name says pickup truck replacement program, and a replacement truck was purchased. I'm just wondering how long we keep vehicles, and is it an hour, a kilometer, or an age that we deal with when we have a pickup truck like this? So that was my question there.
Thank you, Councillor Lacosta. I'll turn that over to SAO Smith.
Yeah, obviously several variables to consider when we're making a determination on when to replace the vehicle as it approaches end of life. Some of it might be through damages or maintenance, but we do have a policy that states 15 years, I believe. 15 years is our standard pickup truck or maybe mobile asset replacement schedule. There's different policies that are standards that apply. If you start looking into, say, fire, mobile equipment, there's some ties to national codes and considerations on insurance policies and things like that. But in general, for pickup trucks, it's 15 years unless we've damaged it and we've seen that it's not worth putting more money into.
Thank you, SAO. Further? Go ahead, Councillor Costa.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On the following page, again, infrastructure and planning services, the project name is golf course upgrades. The status update is greens installation tender complete. Timeline for prep work and installation will be confirmed when the snow has cleared in May. Just curious on a couple things. One is, I'm a golfer. I use the golf course quite frequently, and it's in pretty good shape. But I do recall we received significant money from another government to assist with the golf course work itself. So my question has to do with if the town decided that the money that was received for the golf course is better used somewhere else. Do we have that luxury moving forward? Thank you.
SAO, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to unpack that one. So yeah, it was on capital plan. We went out, our town went out in close consultation with the Hay River Golf Club towards looking at funding opportunities. It's been on discussions for the last couple of years at least, more active discussions. Was able to find a funder through Canor, which kind of focuses on economic development type projects. So it's packaged as a tourism opportunity to fix up some of the greens, add to the ability to host and cater events inside of the event center clubhouse, and also make a little bit of expansion on the campground. So we received the project's been budgeted at around $1 million. We received about $500,000 through Canor. The other commitment for the other $500,000, we do have a commitment with the Hay River Golf Club. I think it's about $400,000 to fund the remaining portion of the project. So there's no investment from the taxpayer. We are helping a little bit with project management and procurement, but we have a joint project team established between the golf club and the town of Hay River for that. There was also damages to the greens as part of the 2023 wildfire event. So several greens were damaged, and we were able to access, it's kind of a portion, different phases, but up to, I think it's $90,000 through our disaster claim to support effectively that project rolled in. So at this point, no. So you can't repurpose that money for another tourism or economic development project. Agreements are all executed. Oh, and I will add that we have submitted to ITI. Again, always looking for partners. These type of projects benefit from partners. Thought it was a good project for ITI through their tourism infrastructure fund, I think. So we've applied for up to 200,000. We don't expect to get that much, but we'll see. We probably will be hearing the next month or so.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Anything further from council? Councilor Costa.
Go ahead. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one last question on the tables. This is on the third table, the third page of tables. It's on Recreation and Community Services, Infrastructure and Planning Services. The project name is Vale Island Multi-Use Recreation Area. I think I know the area that is being discussed here is the project. Moving forward, it's at a scoping phase right now, and just wanted to make the comment that the Fisherman's Wharf, the Pavilion area, that part around the Snai, the front of the main channel of the river, where the Hay River Heritage Center is already a park-like area that could be further expanded. People go there every week, and the museum, I believe, had over 2,000 visitors last year. So it's an area that could be expanded rather than the area that's being talked about in this project. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Costa. Yeah, on this project, that was another one that's kind of tied to some funding that we received. A couple of different phases on that. Dog park, obviously, there's a parking area that's already been added to that. Some lighting's been added to that. I believe this year the plan is to have the old skating area moved over to that part of the park. So it was there's a whole kind of a phased approach that was taken on this project from a rec standpoint, and it was kind of repurpose of the old ball diamond that was down there that was decommissioned. And in that neighborhood area that we lost the skating rink when we subdivided those lots and sold or put up for sale those lots on the other side of the block. So I think it was kind of to tie up, and I'm not certain, but there was, well, actually, I won't comment further on that because there was a few other things that were part of that. But SAO Smith, have you had any other comments on that?
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. No, I think that's a good summary. It's been on the books for a few years. We received federal funding through ISIP, Investing in Canadian Infrastructure program. Yeah, I think we're planning to wrap it up this year, but there's also a playground there as well. So it's a long time established recreation space that has, saw some assets decommissioned over there. We think it's a primary area, and we I think past councils thought it's a commitment towards reinstating recreation for the people of Vale Island. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Anything further from council? Okay, agreed to take forward. 7B, Recreation and Community Services Monthly Report. Looking for a mover. Councillor Wall, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I recommend that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the report entitled Recreation and Community Services Monthly Report for March 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor LaCosta, any questions or comments? Seeing nothing. Agreed to take forward. Agreed. 7C, Municipal Services Monthly Report. Looking for a mover. Councillor Wall, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the Municipal Enforcement Report for March 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Squirrel. Any questions to the motion? Councillor LaCosta, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I noticed as I was reading through the report, I never saw the word bylaw enforcement officer, but I did see the words protective services specialist. Is this the term we're using for bylaw enforcement, or is it a different term? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lacusta. SAO Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into too much history with it, but it is a protective service specialist is the position that does bylaw enforcement.
Thank you. Anything further? Agreed to take forward? Agreed. All right. Where are we? 7D, Emergency Services Monthly Report. Looking for mover. Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I move the Council of Town of Haber approves the Emergency Services Activity Report for March 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions to the motion? Right, seeing nothing. Agreed to take forward? Agreed. 7E, excused absence. Looking for a mover. Councillor Wall, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River excuses Mayor Jameson and Councillor Gagné from the Standing Committee of Council, Monday, April 7th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? Agreed to take forward? Agreed. 7F, application for rezoning. Looking for a mover. Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the background report for the upcoming application for rezoning as information.
Thank you, Councillor Willows. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions, comments to the motion? Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yeah, I know when this facility or the shelter was requested, we changed the C2 highway service commercial zone. So from my understanding is we're kind of asking them to actually rezone this to that. I'm not sure the C1 or the C2, but I'm just wondering, is it possible for us to allow that in that zone, I guess? It's industrial area, I guess. I know I think before it was only in C1, and then once this facility where it currently is was asked to be put there, we expanded the request to C2, and I'm just wondering if it's an option for us to allow that in the other zone where the new facility would be.
Thank you, Councillor Bouchard. SAO Smith, you have answer for that question? I think there's probably a pretty broad piece here, but
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'll go to Director of IPS for some comments on that. I can follow up if needed.
The C1 and C2, which are commercial highway service commercial zones, carry the emergency shelter as a discretionary use. Discretionary use means that it would come to council for, it's allowed if council agrees to allow it in that area. The zone that it's currently in, or the request, is M1, which is restricted industrial. It's neither permitted use or discretionary use in there, so the only way to facilitate that is to change the zone to a C1, a C2, and then admit it as discretionary, or to obviously create a new zone. There is, and the purpose of this is to bring it to council, you know, so you can get your eyes on it and think about it. If you have any feedback, certainly you can pass it along, but the process prior to that is the application. It goes through the development officer, and then there's a pretty fulsome investigation as to the impact, you know, in the surrounding areas and some of the other considerations. So the process right after that, the report's brought to council, and then you can agree to proceed or not to proceed to the actual rezoning process. At that time, we'll consider whether it makes sense for that individual parcel to be zoned, you know, C1, C2, where it's discretionary use, or to create a zone that is specific for this. So that's kind of how it ended up here. We originally had an application for just a development permit with the expectation it would process like a discretionary use, but the zoning bylaw has neither the permitted or discretionary use. So hopefully that helped and didn't confuse more.
SAO Smith has a follow-up.
Yeah, maybe just add one thing to it. At the part of that zoning bylaw public consultation that's going on this week as well is is talking about shelters and emergency housing and where they may be zoned. We don't, it's not as part of the proposed change to include the industrial area, but there was conversation on it, and I'd say that certainly that venue could be an opportunity to discuss that. Well, of course, anything's on the table really through that process. So we've got this zoning bylaw update that's going on. We've got another application that's kind of coincidence that they're meeting at the same time, but we might get some input through the zoning process that influences direction with this one as well. But yeah, I think otherwise you've covered everything.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, SAO. You had a follow-up, Councillor Bouchard?
Yeah, more of a comment. I think before we put it where it currently is, it was only allowable in C1, and then we allowed it in C2 as a discretionary. So, yeah, and maybe through those discussions we can discuss whether M1 has a discretionary ability to put that type of facility. Nobody really wants it in any area. Like, it's not a convenient facility, but yeah, I know rezoning would be a process. It is a process. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lacosta, I believe you had a question.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, first thing, just to comment, I think this background report is very well written. I want to thank the administration for putting it together. Just a question to do with, under item number 2, talks about a professional community planner. I don't imagine that person's been selected yet. However, that professional community planner is being asked to do a variety of things, and the list goes from A through J. The list is very good, but it's missing something, I think, and that is there's nothing there about consulting with similar service providers during their assessment. And I was wondering whether that is something that was anticipated as being part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. SAO Smith.
Yeah, we'll go back to Patrick, please.
Yeah, we can. I do appreciate the comments. That's exactly what I was hoping to get from bringing it to council early. So we can certainly add that in. It should be pretty straightforward. The planning group that we have is Stantec, which we use for a number of these things, and they're quite well connected with other communities. So that should be pretty straightforward to get.
And I think just adding, like, those statements are extracted from our bylaw, so those are the requirements, minimum requirements. But yeah, professional planner we're used for all, or we're required to use under not only our bylaw, but territorial acts, I think Development Act. But yeah, there is a whole consultation process that goes through any rezoning in addition to that.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Anything further? Okay, seeing nothing, we'll agreed to take forward. Agreed. 7G, Water and Sewer Bylaw Amendment. Looking for a mover. Councillor Acosta.
Yeah, I recommend that the council of the town of Hay River accepts the report on an amendment to the water sewer bylaw as presented and recommended by the Policy and Bylaw Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions or comments to the motion? Okay, seeing nothing, agreed to take forward. Agreed. 7H, Public Behavior Bylaw Amendment. Looking for a mover. Councillor Willows, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the report on an amendment to the Public Behavior Bylaw as presented and recommended by the Healthy Communities Committee and the Policy and Bylaw Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions or comments to the motion? Councillor Lacosta.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just looking at the specified penalties under Schedule A, I noticed that there was a blank line under bullying. Is that on purpose, or was that just a miss? Just a question for administration.
Could be a miss on this, but I'll turn it over to SAO Smith.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I did notice that after it was released as well that it was blank there. But if you give me 1 minute, I will. Is it the same as your name?
Anyway, while they're looking for that, I think we can, as we went through this with the bylaw and policy committee, there was probably what happened here with the same issue. I'm guessing that when the old sheet got added in, but there was actually a 3-year, or a 3 offense within a year penalty, and I believe it was 200, 305, or how did we? I think that's, yeah, I think that's where it ended up, but I could be wrong. SAO Smith might have.
Do you have it there?
If I remember correctly, that's where we were. There was I think it was 3 offenses within a year. 200, 300, and 500, I believe.
Yeah, so, sorry, and it was, I don't know, it was in the report that went to the Finance Committee. I apologize, I don't know, we printed it, but for some reason it didn't preserve in this version. But yeah, 200, 350, and 500, as you can see on the screen there, sort of.
Okay, so when that comes forward for the bylaw for the next meeting, that'll be in there. Yeah, and then I guess just to add on this was really driven from the community level, the RCMP and the schools. I believe the letters were included in the report, and then went through the Healthy Communities Committee and the Bylaw and Policy Committee. So I think a lot of general support there from the 2 committee levels and also from the community. So agreed to take forward. And then the 7I, unoccupied housing strategy, looking for a mover. Councillor Wall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River approves the unoccupied housing strategy as presented, as recommended by the Policy and Bylaw Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Questions or comments to the motion? Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, I guess I just had some questions, and I apologize I couldn't make the meeting last week. I was traveling, but I understand where maybe some of this concerns of the vacant properties that are there are in our community type thing, but and I know dealing with some of the federal government housing and some of the other territorial housing, that's an issue, but I'm just wondering how this is going to relate to other residents. We have some residents that are still affected by flooding, by fire and stuff like that, so I'm a little leery of this type of say heavy-handed bylaw type thing where we could be, I know what we're trying to do as far as the federal government and the government houses that we have empty, but I'm just concerned that there's going to be other residences that are affected by a policy like this or a bylaw like this.
Thank you, Councillor Bouchard. SAO Smith, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I mean, maybe just the roots in this, of course, are tied to the approved community housing plan. It's been identified, I think you've all heard it before, about concerns with unoccupied housing, not to be confused with vacant properties, which is the next item on the agenda, but unoccupied meaning that you have homes or houses around town that have not had, evidence of people living within them for a long-term vacancy. Now that's a bit arbitrary, I guess, needs to be flushed out with maybe a more defined definition through work if it was to proceed. But it is primarily those, government housing such as federal housing and some GNWT housing. You could use the high-rise as an example as well. But probably other buildings in town that are those primary cases of interest. The strategy talks towards really just having those conversations more, both from the town administrative side and through your elected officials. Not really suggesting anything yet outside of, no bylaw type changes, but at least having those meetings and discussions so we could bring something forward. I think it does align with the goal, like I said, of the housing strategy, but the specific individual properties are probably those outliers, right, where there might be a reason, it might be a derelict type property to trying to determine if it's actually livable. So a little bit of parameters seem to probably need to be taken towards, any type of legislation that might follow. But for now, there's no legislation being suggested here. It's just really having those conversations within, with those governments, lobbying and talking with Indigenous governments in some cases, because I think some of it's tied to land settlements. Yeah, I guess that's all I can really offer.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Anything further from council? Councillor Squirrel, go ahead.
Masicho, Deputy Mayor. My question is in regards to the land claim. That I didn't realize that a lot of the unoccupied houses are territorial and federal houses. And in the report, it's saying that they don't want to open them up again due to land claim issues. Is that, I guess I'm just wondering more about the land claim. Who is that with? And yeah.
SAO Smith?
Yeah, I think a little more research is needed to get to the heart of what's happening, at least for my understanding or administration's understanding. We have met with different parties such as CERNAC. We've been told that some of the federal houses, I think, were accessed by KFN or through some arrangements during the wildfire undertakings there. We're aware of the difficulties in accessing land until some of these settlements are completed. So I think really an outline in the strategy that there's more conversations to be had. It's been difficult at my level to find someone that would be willing to speak. So I think a bit of lobbying from the council and having the strategy and having our community plan helps to facilitate those discussions. Not really sure. We have an inventory. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we have done an inventory of properties, and just need to have a further understanding of Executive Indigenous Affairs and other parties on those houses. But they have told us that they are not able to release them with some vague information tied to that reasoning.
Thank you, SAO Smith. And yeah, I mean, I think as SAO indicated, I think this is really more of a broader roadmap type strategy that allows us to maybe open some of those doors, get some of that information, kind of get everything all on the same page. I can attest to that we've been told many different things over the years on all of those properties that we're probably all thinking of in terms of why they're still sitting empty. So I think having a bit of a strategy moving forward will help us get some of those answers, some of those questions answered. Anything further from council? Agreed to take forward? 7J, vacant land development strategy. Looking for a mover. Councillor Lacusta, go ahead.
I move the recommendation that the council of the town of Hay River approves the vacant housing strategy as presented as recommended by the Policy and Bylaw Committee.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions to the motion? Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yeah, similar opinion. I think this is kind of the stick instead of the carrot, and I think I know we are doing this housing strategy, and I think there's some benefits and some carrots out there for people to develop vacant land. Again, I'm concerned about some of the properties that are vacant for certain reasons, flooding, fires, and stuff like that. And I know at one time we talked about taxing them differently as well. So I mean, I'm just leery that we're, there's some people that buy these properties to pay them off to be able to develop on them later on. I don't think there's 1,000 of them, so I'm a little leery on this type of a strategy where we're encouraging people to develop, but I would give them more incentives if we could waive development fees or something like that, negotiate that type of stuff as opposed to trying to do taxation. So I'm just concerned where it goes in the future. There could be some reasons some of these houses are vacant or lots are vacant. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bouchard. SAO Smith.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to to add to that. Certainly understand, as Councillor Bouchard mentioned, there's a bit of history on the land administration bylaw where I think this council, was it this council that removed the term that said, that required you to develop within, I think it was 15 months, with some exceptions for new properties purchased by the town. Maybe it was the last council. So that's been removed, but it is, yeah, it's a tough one sometimes between, obviously you put land on the market to fill the needs of housing and commercial development, not as sitting on for land and, for investment purposes. Things are changing a little bit, we're seeing with our economies and demands up here. I'd say in the past 5-10 years, as I mentioned, there's no industrial lots in inventory, there's no commercial lots in inventory, and there is now only, just with the addition of Fraser Place, there's now some residential properties in place. But in the past, it's been maybe a bit more of an issue than it is currently today.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Well, sorry. Again, it's one of the, the idea is to move and consult, and obviously any bylaw changes would need to be brought forward to for further discussion and any public consultation that might arise. But a strategy coming out of the Housing Committee for now.
Thank you, SAO Smith. And yeah, I was just going to kind of say the same thing. At this point, again, more of a strategy, a bit of a roadmap for administration and council on kind of the direction we are looking at heading. Some options there, initiatives that, yeah, if we were to look at an actual bylaw or changing taxation, would obviously be something that would be coming back to council, and there would be time for those discussions then around the specifics of any proposed bylaw or say a new tax class, for example. So anything further from council? Councillor Rakusa, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to, getting back to Councillor Bouchard's question, further, Councillor Bouchard, if you look at the 4 initiatives that are within the strategy, the first initiative is a development incentive. The second initiative allows the town to break things out internally so that there is a law that allows a next step. Initiative 3 is the disincentive, or the taxing incentive, I guess, for the town. So that's the tax incentive, and then Initiative 4 is the incentive to sell the property. So there's both carrots and sticks in this, and just to I guess agree with what the Deputy Mayor said, is that this is a strategy moving forward, and I think there's an awful lot we can do within this framework. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Acosta, and I'll just remind council to go through the chair. Any further comments or questions from council? Okay, seeing nothing, agree to take forward? Agreed. All right, no notices of motion, and we struck in camera from the agenda, so Councillor Willows. Okay, meeting's adjourned.